Welcome back to another paper review. Today we're reviewing a BGCSE past paper. We're reviewing biology, and this is a paper one from 2017. Again, before we start this examination, please make sure you write your school number, your candidate number, your surname, and also your initials. Again, read through all the instructions carefully before you start the examination. If you have any questions or any queries, please clarify those with your examiner. All right, let's jump into question number one. And question number one reads that which organism is a reptile? And A is an amphibian, B is a fish, and so C will be our answer as a reptile. D is a mammal. All right, so question number two is said which group of animals contains only vertebrates? And remember that vertebrates are organisms with backbone. So let's go through A. A is said crab, dog, frog, and turtle. And crab will make A incorrect. For B, it said here we have frog, seahorse, turtle, and worm. Worm make this incorrect. C, frog, parrot, seahorse, and turtle. Yes, all those are vertebrates because they all have backbones. D, the lobster will make it incorrect. All right, so C is our correct answer there for question number two. For question number three, it said diagram below shows a flowering plant. What is the function of a structure A? And A is, notice that's an apical bud. So A is the apical bud. Let's write it down quickly. Apical bud. That's one on the tip. All right. So that's the tip is the apical part of it is the apical bud of the plant. All right. Or you may call it apical meristem because the apical bud contains apical meristem. And the apical meristem is where growth actually takes place, all right? The tip of a plant. Auxin also produces there as well. All right, so the purpose for the apical bud is for to absorb water. Oh no, that could never be. All right, B, cause sideways growth. No, that will be the auxiliary bud. And cause upward growth, definitely C. All right, support the plant. No, that's the root support the plant. So actually no. All right, so that one was straight off the bat. C. All right, for question number four here, it said which is the correct which is the correct sequence showing the hierarchy of classification, beginning with the largest, looking from the largest, starting from the largest, and ending with the smallest. Now, if you remember the acronym, it is King Philip came over from Great Spain. So King Philip came over from Great Spain. And so looking through, a matter of fact, straight off the bat, the one that started the largest here is Kingdom. So we can know that all the others are actually incorrect. So A column is the correct one by mere fact they start with Kingdom. Okay, the rest will be not correct at all. So A is correct, starting from the largest. In A, however, if you think about acronym, King Philip came over. King for kingdom, Philip, phylum, class, came, order, over, family, from, and then we'd have genus and species below this, but genus and species is missing from this one. All right, but definitely is still the largest to the smallest. All right, so let's go down now to the next question. It's which organism is a producer? And right off the bat here, we know that this is going to be algae. Algae is a producer. Algae, they photosynthesize. Mushroom is not the answer. I mean, we know for sure conch and human could never be a producer. We know that. But let's talk about the mushroom. Mushrooms sometimes look like plant, right? They have a like a plantish look to them, but they do not photosynthesize. They do not have chlorophyll. So, in other words, mushrooms are saprophytes. So let me just quickly tell you that. So, these are saprophytes. The mushrooms, they are saprophytes. And what saprophytes do, saprophyte, they absorb nutrients. So, they absorb nutrients. All right. So, let's say absorb. So, saprophytes absorb nutrients from dead and decaying materials. From dead and decaying materials. So if plants die or leaves die and decaying, then they will absorb nutrients from those. So that's why they are called saprophytes. All right. So just to make a note of that. All right. So let's go to the next question. This is question number 6. And question number 6 is a diagram shows a food web. It said, what type of organism is X? Now, X is eating the rabbit, all right, and then get eaten by the fox. Well, that's not even important what is eating it, but what it is eating to classify it. So normal look like what it is eating. So it is eating the rabbit, and it's only eating the rabbit alone. So without a doubt right here, we know that it must be a carnivore because carnivores, they eat meat, okay? Not a decomposers, not a decomposer, not a herbivore, not a producer. So know that definitely it is a carnivore. All right, jump into the next question, right? So question 7 now, it said, which of the following includes all the plants, animals, bacteria, and other living things in an area? So all the different things that come together, they form what they call a community. So the plant itself will be a population. So you have the plant population, you have animal population, and specific type of animals will be population. Just to make a note right here, that population must be the total number of the same species. Okay, so it's not if you have all animals together, it's still not a population. It must be the same species. Total number of the same species a population. So definitely, community is the answer. It's a collective group of all the population. And an ecosystem, just to make mention of this, an ecosystem is all the abiotic factors interacting with the biotic factors. So in other words, now is a group of community living together, interacting with themselves and also with the non-living world. So once you talk about ecosystem, you must think about abiotic and biotic. So let's write down those two words quickly. So you talk about the biotic, and biotic mean living, and abiotic, which means non-living. So you have abiotic, which means non-living. All right. So again, ecosystem is the collection of all population or all community living together, interacting with each other, and also the non-living aspect of the population. All right, so it's both living and non-living together. 8. All right, so for 8 now, it said the diagram shows a black mangrove. And of course, there's something specific about black mangrove that you must know. You have some special type of roots, and that is pointed out by X. It said which statement describe the function of the structure. The structure is labeled X. And X, let's give it the name of that. They're called pneumatophores. So they spell Neumatophor. There's a pneumatophore. All right. And the function for pneumatophore is to absorb oxygen from the roots. All right, so this one will be A for our answer right here. All right, so let's go to the next question. Question number 9. And question number 9 is state that the amount of energy at trophic levels 1 and 4 in an ecosystem is indicated by the numbers. Only 10% of the energy is passed to the next trophic level. All right, so just to make a note right here that the reason why only 10% of energy pass on to the next trophic level is because the organism themselves will use some of the energy that they actually take in to carry out their functions. So for movement, reproduction, growth, they will require energy. So they will use up 90% of the energy that they take from the previous organism. But just to answer this question here, if we start from the producer with the trophic level number 1 at 10,000 joules of energy, then this one here will only have 1,000. So the rat will have 1,000, the snake will have 100. All right. And so the question asks, what is the total amount of energy in levels 2 and 3? So total between 2 and 3 is 1,100. So 1,100 together. Okay, that's the total right there. So the answer here is 1,100. So this is C. Okay, so C is our answer. All right, so we're getting through with this one. All right, so let's jump to the next question now. we're kind of going through this one real fast because we don't need to explain everything here because in previous papers we have explained most of these concepts already. So just to make a quick run through. So question 10 is said, which term describe the liquid built up, sorry, no, it's a which term describe the built up of pesticides in a food chain? All right, I'm trying to go in really, really fast. So this one is by accumulation right here. All right, so the built up of pesticides in a food chain is by accumulation, which means that starting from the producer, if the producer should obtain some poison like pesticides, then it may travel through an increase in concentration as it go up the food chain. So energy decrease along the food chain, but poisons will increase, especially those that do not break down. All right, so definitely by accumulation. Just to make a note, let me go back a little bit here. Eutrophication, please note, you need to remember that term. It's a term that is really frequent on the examinations. And eutrophication is the excess growth of algae in water due to the dissolving of nutrients. And that could cause from sewage and also fertilizers, all right, especially near farms or near sewage treatment plants or anywhere that they dump sewage in the water. All right, so question number 11 now. So the diagram below shows a profile, from a sandy beach to the sea. And it said, what is one benefit of having the coral reef? And A said decrease the amount of sand on the beach. That is not true because the coral reef is a sand factory, especially because of the parrotfish that will nibble on the algae on the coral reef, and they inevitably take off some rocks, and then when they digest the rock and poop the rocks out in fine parts, that's actually sand. All right, so the parrotfish assist us in producing sand. So it's an increase the salinity of the ocean. That is not true. Decrease the size of the waves, the wave action reaching the shoreline, and definitely that is correct. All right, it's an increase coastal erosion, which is not true. And erosion is simply the washing away of soil. All right, so C is definitely the best answer right there. Question number 12, it said which structure is present in plant cells but absent in animal cell? And so animal cells do not have a cell wall. So we don't need to explain that because all cell must have cell membrane, all cell have cytoplasm, all cell have nucleus, with the exception of the red blood cell, of course. Yeah, but definitely cell wall. All right, and I know by now you see that question, you know the answer. All right, for question number 13, no, it said that the diagrams show 4 cells. Which cell is able to conduct electrical impulse? And so it must be a nerve cell or a neuron, and the only neuron that is shown right here is B. All right, so A is just a regular cell. C is a phagocyte. If you notice the irregular shaped nucleus, and you have seen this 1,000,001 times now, I think. So you should know that this is a phagocyte. And of course, without doubt, everybody by now will know that this is a sperm cell for D. All right, so I know you're getting great at this bio thing now. So I'm not too worried. I'm just going to go through speedy with this one. All right, so number 14. Here now it said, what is the name of the process by which plants absorb water from the soil? All right, so plant absorb water from the soil by osmosis, right? So the root hair cells, and remember the last paper we did, we talk about osmosis and how the root actually uptake water. So it uptake water by osmosis from high to low concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. For active transport in the roots, that is for nutrients. So you can make a note that nutrients will enter the root hair cell by active transport, all right? Because what happened here is that the nutrients, they are going against a concentration gradient, right? Which means they're moving from a low concentration to a higher concentration. All right, so they require some form of energy. Active transport is when energy is required, especially going against a concentration gradient. All right. Number 15 now. This one is also a frequent question. It's osmosis, right? And this one said diagram represents an experiment set up to show osmosis. And notice here we have liquid Q and liquid R. We have a bag, which means there's a membrane. And so if you notice, starting at the experiment, let's kind of write this down here. starting from the experiment, you notice the bag is smaller. After the experiment, the bag is larger. So for the bag to get larger, that means water must enter, right? Water must go in. H2O will enter the bag. So let's just put H2O right there. So H2O going from the beaker into the bag. And so let's talk about why that happened. Now remember now, if water enter from one solution to the next, it therefore means that it moved from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution. So we can say R is dilute, okay? So we can just make that a note that R is dilute and Q must be concentrated. Let's just put CON right there. We don't need to write out the whole thing right now. All right, anyway, let me just quickly do that. So it's concentrated, and this is dilute. It's a which statement about Q and R are correct. So based on what we know there, dilute mean that plenty water. Okay, so A is saying that Q and R are both distilled water. That will be foolishness because you know for sure that if both of them are the same concentration, then there'll be no change, right? So for now, we know that that make no sense absolutely. B is a Q and R are both concentrated solutions. Say this sucrose solution, which means they say the same thing. Same concentration, no movement of water. No net, let me say, no net movement of water. Because truthfully, if they're the same concentration, what is going in will equal what is coming out. Okay? So C is saying now that Q is concentrated, yeah, and R is dilute. Definitely, no doubt. All right, D is a Q is dilute. No, let's not even go further because Q is not dilute as we mentioned, right? So just stick with our C. 16. Lovely question. Lovely question. It said, which of the following diagrams represent a disaccharide? Lovely question. Good opportunity to talk about something here now. If this six-figure shape is a hexagon, right? Is a sugar. Because remember now, disaccharide is a combination of two single sugar, okay? Or is a combination of two what? Monosaccharide. So if this represents sugar, we don't even care about the circles because circles now represent amino acid. Amino acid don't make up carbohydrates. All right? Disaccharide is a carbohydrate. Double sugar, 2 units of sugar. So C and D, we can ignore those, but I'll talk about them, however. Now, A is a single unit of sugar, and just point this out. I just want to point this out real quick. Six-sided, it means carbohydrate. It's monosaccharide, so it means a carbon is on each of the vertex, right? So you have carbon there. That's how the 6 carbon comes in. For example, glucose, C6. That's why you have six-sided, all right? So C6, which means it is a monosaccharide. So definitely A is a monosaccharide. B is a disaccharide. The combination of two monosaccharides give you a what? Disaccharide. So A is a single unit, B is a double unit of sugar. It is a disaccharide, no doubt. But what is C though? Yeah, if you should see C, what is C? C is two amino acids joined together, so it's called a peptide. So this line here represents a peptide bond, so we call this a peptide. This is a peptide. Yep. So one peptide bond form a peptide. If you see many of them together now, you have a polypeptide or a protein. Okay, so many of the circles together with the lines joined together becomes a polypeptide, which means it is a protein. All right. These are a single amino acid, right? And amino acids are the monomers for proteins. Monosaccharides, they are the monomers for polysaccharide. I just to mention that right there. 17. So which of the following represents the reagent used in the test for protein and the correct result? And I said the correct result, which means actually the positive result. That's actually what they're talking about, right? Correct result means positive result. So we know that we use Biret. So A and D cannot be correct because Bendix is used to test for sugar, okay? And it said for protein, we're testing for protein. So if it was sugar, then A would be a correct thing because Bendix turned to orange, red, all right, or brown when it tests positive for sugar. So it must be one of the Biret. B is incorrect because this is a negative test, okay? If the Biret stays blue, because Biret is a blue solution, Bendix is also blue. So it is Biret turning to purple. Okay, that's a positive test for protein. Iodine, yes, is test for starch, and it turns to blue-black for starch. All right, but we're not testing for starch, testing for protein. All right, so that's an easy question there, right? I think that is tested multiple times on these papers. So look out for those food test questions. All right. Now 18 now is the diagram shows the human digestive system, right? In which part does absorption of nutrients takes place. And absorption of nutrients takes place in small intestine. So we're going to just shade D. Now a point to note when we talk about the systems of a body, please go in at examination, look for, without any doubt, especially paper 2, you will get some form of systems of the body. And I'm saying look out for like the excretory system, which is the kidney. Look out for those type of questions. Look out for the functions of the liver. Make sure you know those things. I'm telling you, please make sure you spend time. Go through the systems of the body. Excretion, the kidneys, the liver function, make sure you know that. Use of enzymes, please make sure you know those things. You will get questions on those. It's not a doubt. I could tell you that. All right. And reproduction, you might see questions on reproduction. All right, digestion. So please spend some time, go through the systems of the body. All right, do not ignore them. Make sure you know as much about the systems as best as you possibly can. All right, so 19 now. Question 19. It says, which enzyme work best in low pH? All right, so first figure out where in the body you have low pH. Low pH mean acidic, yeah? So when you see low pH, you're talking about acidic condition. So a matter of fact, pH from 0 to 6 is acidic. 7 is neutral. 8 to 14 is alkalinic or basic. So the stomach is acidic, right? And the enzyme that works in the stomach is pepsin. So pepsin works best at low pHs. For the stomach is acidic. Amylase now is a kind of a tricky thing because you have two types of amylase. You have salivary amylase that works in the mouth, and in the mouth is kind of a neutral thing, right? Unless you don't brush your teeth for a long period of time, it becomes acidic. But normal conditions, your mouth is neutral, right? And you have also pancreatic amylase. Pancreatic amylase works in the small intestine, and the small intestine is alkalinic. Okay, so if just in case if you see salivary amylase, you should have around a neutral pH. If you see pancreatic amylase, it's supposed to be basic, which means anything above 7. Okay. All right, sucrase, that will work in the small intestine to break down sucrose. Trypsin also works in the small intestine because trypsin is produced by the pancreas as well and works in the small intestine to break down polypeptides. All right. So, or in very general term, to break down proteins. But the part of protein that you break down is actually polypeptides. Pepsin breaks down the protein into the polypeptides. All right. Now, question number 20. It said the diagram shows a part of the human digestive system which structure produces a substance that emulsifies fat. And the substance that emulsifies fat is bile, and bile is produced by the liver. And so A is our answer. All right, D is showing us the gallbladder, and the gallbladder stores the bile. Okay, and B now is the stomach, and stomach is where you find pepsin, digestion of proteins. All right, and C is the pancreas, and pancreas produces enzymes and hormones. And you should know the enzymes and hormone produced by the pancreas. So the pancreas definitely has role in the digestive system and also have role in the endocrine system. All right, so it controls glucose level by producing insulin and glucagon, and it produces 3 enzymes: trypsin, amylase, and lipase. Okay. All right, 21. It's a diagram shows a leaf in sunlight. And so light is going in, and then you have P represent a gas. Okay, so what gas is represented by P? And the gas that represented by P, without any doubt, light is present. That means if the plant is photosynthesizing, that means the gas that going in must be carbon dioxide. All right? All right, good. All right, so there's no even need to even talk about anything else with that because definitely carbon dioxide is right there. All right, 22. Now, 22 is which is the correct word equation for photosynthesis. Now, by now, we know for sure that photosynthesis requires carbon dioxide and it uses water to produce glucose and oxygen. So, which of them is the glucose, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water? This B here is the only option. There's no need to even talk about anything else. Carbon dioxide react with water to produce glucose and oxygen and requires sunlight, and chlorophyll is there to absorb the sunlight. So B. All right, you need to know also the word, the balanced chemical equation as well. So please make sure you know that. All right. Question 23, it said, which layer of cells in a leaf contains the most chloroplast? And again, this is a palisade mesophyll cells, or the palisade mesophyll layer, because those cells, they are elongated, which means they are longer than the other cells in the leaf, and which means they have more space to have more chloroplast. And again, they are on the upper part of the leaf to absorb light as well, or to absorb the most light. So they need the most chloroplast to have the most chlorophyll, so they could absorb maximum amount of light. Now, for question number 24, it said, what is the probable condition of the guard cell and stomata of a leaf on a bright and humid day? So, if it is bright and it is humid, now what's going to happen here, because the bright light will cause the stomata to open, so the stomata will open, and it's humid, which means the plant will not be transpiring as much, because high humidity means that the atmosphere is already filled with water. So the plant will not lose a lot of water, so the guard cells will become more turgid, they will remain turgid, and the stomata will be nice and open to photosynthesize. All right. So question number 25, and this is halfway through. It said, which graph shows the effect of humidity on the transpiration rate of a plant? So the thing again, humidity and transpiration, they are inversely related, which means then as high humidity, you have low transpiration. Low humidity, high transpiration. So yes, C is the only graph that's showing that as one is increasing, the other one is decreasing. So definitely graph C is the correct one. Graph A is saying that both of them are increasing, all right, and graph B is saying that they're increasing with a square value, and D is saying that is increase and then stabilize and decrease. No, they're actually inversely related. As one increase, the other one decrease. All right, 26 now. For 26, a diagram shows a vertical section through a mammalian heart. It said, which label chamber pumps deoxygenated blood out of the heart? Now, watch this now carefully. We have two sides of the heart. On this side here is our right side. If you put up your left hand, this is the right side. If you put up the right hand, this is the left side. Okay, so it is inverted for you based on how you see it, right? So it's like looking in a mirror. Now, remember, the last paper did, we talk about Avlav B. So blood enter here, which is the vena cava, coming from the body. So the entire side right here is deoxygenated blood, okay? And notice the key term right here said pump out deoxygenated blood out of the heart. So which side pumps deoxygenated blood out of the heart? This is the right ventricle, so it is what going to pump blood out. This will push blood out of the heart. So guess what? The deoxygenated blood will travel inside, coming in from the body, going into the right ventricle, and then pushes out into the pulmonary artery and go into the lungs, right? This here is the pulmonary vein coming from the lungs, and so C and D will be oxygenated blood, right? And then it comes in, the blood comes in, and then go out through the aorta and to the body, all right? And so if you notice the two sets of arrow right there, that's what also make the heart a double pump, all right? Because they pump in oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood at the same time without mixing. All right, so you need to know those things. The flow of blood, what side is oxygenated blood, which side is deoxygenated blood, and so on. All right, for 27, for question number 27, it said, which diagram shows the structure of a capillary? All right, so just to make a note right here, we know that A is thick and nice, right? So A must be artery. Notice the lumen as well. The lumen is the section to the tube part, or the tube section. So this is an artery. An artery, again, transport blood at high pressure. This is one cell thick, so know that this is a capillary. One cell thick is a capillary. This will be a plant stem. So notice you have the vascular bundle. They're kind of arranged uniformly. So this is a dicot stem. So this is a dicotyledon stem. I must make a note right there. So this is the dicotyledon stem. Let's put stem right there. Yep. So there's dicotyledon stem. This is a vein because you know we have a thinner wall, and a wide lumen. So this here is a vein. All right, so you need to know that. All right, so yeah, capillary is definitely B, yes? All right, 28. We're going to run this through real quick now. Now, for question number 20, a diagram shows a capillary, cell, and tissue fluid in the arm of a human. So this is a part of a lymphatic system, right? We call this the lymphatic system. And the lymphatic system serves the function of transporting substances to the cells and from the cells. In other words, it's responsible to exchange substances between the blood and the cells, right? So in other words, it supply nutrients to the cell and then take away the waste substances. So guess what? P and Q are good substances going to the cell. The things the cells need. So we know that P and Q could be anything like glucose, amino acids, water. Anything that the cell require is P and Q. It doesn't matter which one is which one. R and S are the waste substances coming from the cell. So anything the cells do not need, like carbon dioxide and urea, yeah, they come from the cell, okay, and come back into the vein. Now, so in other words, now R and S represent the things that are the blood that become deoxygenated. Notice this is going into they say that is venous, that means going back to a vein. We have the arterial end right here coming from artery, this is oxygenated blood. So going back will be deoxygenated, this is oxygenated blood. All right, so which is the correct? It said which of the following is correct? And it said P show the flow of carbon dioxide. No, because it's useful substance. It cannot be. Carbon dioxide is a waste. So we know for sure that A is incorrect. Q show the flow of glucose. Yeah, that look good. Because Q could be glucose, because the cells need glucose or respiration. So let's hold on to B a little bit to make sure. C now said R shows the flow of oxygen. R cannot be oxygen. It must be carbon dioxide or any waste. For D, it's a S show the flow of amino acid. No, those are waste again. So yeah, B is the correct one, no doubt. All right, glucose. Cells need glucose to carry out respiration. All right, question number 9. For question number 9, it said, which is the correct equation for anaerobic respiration in yeast? Now, you need to know what yeast is producing. Yeast produce alcohol. All right. Okay, remember that. It's a fermentation process by producing alcohol and carbon dioxide, right? So, no, for sure, now we're looking for alcohol and carbon dioxide. So, it's between B and D. B and C. But C cannot be correct because water is not produced in that sense, right? So what you produce from glucose is actually alcohol and carbon dioxide. Remember when yeast is, when you mix yeast in dough, is the carbon dioxide that causes the bread to rise or the dough to rise, and you get a alcoholic smell. All right, and a matter of fact, is the same process by producing wine and rum and alcoholic beverages, right? So yeah, B is the correct answer right there. All right, let's go to question number 30. And it said diagram shows the human respiratory system. Which labeled structure is the site of gas exchange? And gas exchange takes place in the alveoli. And alveoli are located at the end of what? Bronchioles. So here, where do we have the bronchiole? The bronchiole will be at C. Matter of fact, they should have some small sac-like structure there, but they're not shown. But yeah, C is the correct answer. That's where you find bronchiole. It's not anywhere else. This D is a diaphragm. A is a bronchus, if it's this structure is pointing to right here. And then we have B now in the throat. So we have up there will be our pharynx, all right? 31. It said, the diagram shows a kidney nephron in which label structure does ultrafiltration takes place, and ultrafiltration takes place in the glomerulus, and the substance will move into the Bowman capsule. So yes, C is correct. All right. Now, just to make a note right here that at B, A, and D, we have reabsorption of glucose taking place, and some water and some salt taking place at B, A, and D. All right, so the convoluted areas, so we have the proximal convolution at B, we have a distal convolution at D, and A is the loop of Henle. All right, and this structure right here is the collecting duct. Yeah, so C is definitely the correct answer for that one. The glomerulus. All right, and ultrafiltration. Let us go back to it to tell about what ultrafiltration is. And we're going to hurry up and finish anyhow, so don't worry too much. Now, ultrafiltration, right, is the filtering of substances from the capillaries into the Bowman capsule under high pressure or due to high pressure, because it's coming from the artery or the arterial end of the capillaries, all right, where pressure is higher. All right, so 32 now, we say which waste product is carried in the blood. All right, and it's a waste product. That's a key word. No, waste. So fibrin is not a waste product. It's not a waste product. It is needed to help the clot blood, right? Sweat, you don't carry it in the blood. If sweat is in the blood, oh my God, that would be death. All right, so definitely no. Urea, yes, because urea sent to the kidneys to be excreted. Urine, if urine is in the blood, that means something is wrong, seriously wrong. All right. 33, it said, which occurs in a person's skin when they are in hot condition. And when you're hot, you want to lose heat. And so what will happen to the arterioles? They will dilate, which means they get wider and move closer to the skin to release heat. So the only correct option here could be between C and D, right? The arterioles will dilate. The next thing that will happen here is that the sweat glands will become active because they want to sweat. Okay, so C and D still in neck and neck race right here. All right, so the erector muscles now. So this is where the part become important. The separation here is erector muscle. Erector muscles are those muscles on connect to the hair follicle or to the hair, right, or the root of the hair. And when they contract, the hair stand up. You get goosebumps, and that, if you notice, when you get goosebumps is when you're cold. So they're going to relax, and the hair will actually lay down to release that hair, and the body will not be insulated again by the air that is in the atmosphere. So definitely C is correct for that. All right. D is when you're cold. Okay. Yeah, D is when you're cold. All right. Question 34 is in which pathway do nerve impulse travel in a spinal reflex? And a spinal reflex, now the first thing happen, you have receptor cells in the sense organ. But let me see if any started receptor cells. No, we don't have the receptor cells right here. So after receptor cells, we have a sensory neuron though, right? So okay, so A is incorrect because effector is the last thing. Motor neuron is not the first thing either. It is the second to last thing. So the only answer here that makes sense between C and D. So after we have a sensory neuron, then we have the relay neuron. Okay, so C is out now because effector is the very last thing. So D is the correct answer. The only thing with that is, well, I'm not saying wrong with D, but the only thing you could add to D is that before the sensory neuron, you have the receptor cells. So you have receptor, sensory neuron, relay neuron, then motor neuron, then the effector cells. And effector cells are in the muscle, right? Receptor cells are in the sense organ. They receive the impulse, and then they pass them on to the sensory neuron, and then the effector cells are in the muscles that help to bring about the response or reaction. Now for 35 now, the diagram shows some blood vessels near the surface of the skin. All right, and so this is what we explained in the question before, that the blood vessels will lead up to what we call vasodilation, vasoconstriction, right? And so the question now asks now, is in vasoconstriction, and vasoconstriction is when you are cold, so the blood vessel will constrict to retain heat inside of the body and keep your blood temperature at a constant, or your internal temperature constant, right? And so vasoconstriction, if vasoconstriction happens at X, which means the blood vessel here becomes narrow, is what happened to the blood flow at Y and Z. Now, so at Y, you have less flow of blood. You're going to have a lower flow of blood. And so here, you must have a decrease in the flow of blood at Y, so either A or B. However, the blood flow will be maintained at Z. And why? Because it becomes a vein. So Z is where a vein is, and veins, they have valves, and valves prevent the backflow of blood. So eventually, the movement of the open and close of the valves will end up increasing that blood pressure or blood flow at a constant, right? Because you need the blood to flow constantly through the body. So yes, so this will be B is our answer right there. All right. Now next question, 36. For question number 36, it said, when sound waves enter the air, what will they strike and cause to vibrate first? So the first thing to vibrate, right, is the eardrum. And where's the ear? And eardrum is also known as the tympanic membrane. So tympanic membrane is the same thing as the eardrum. Please make a note of that. Now, the membranous labyrinth those structures now, they are some tubes that outline the cochlea and also the semicircular canal. So they themselves contain some fluid, all right, and so they help to bring about balance and control as well in terms of the fluid balance in the air. Okay, so that's very important with the membranous labyrinth. All right, so again, you can make a note of that. They are the outline or tube-like outlines of the semicircular canal and the cochlea, and they contain the fluid. So definitely will help to balance the aid in balance and coordination. Right. All right, so yeah, round window and oval window, they are different section of the semicircular canal leading down to the cochlea, and they are just openings that allow help to maintain your pressure. That's simple to maintain the pressure in the air. All right, so 37 now. This diagram shows an arm being lowered. What causes this movement? So if the arm is being lowered, which means you're moving from a upright to a lower position right here. So if you notice what's going to happen, if you even flex your arm, you're going to notice that here get longer and here get shorter. So the bicep will relax and the tricep will contract. So looking for bicep relax. And so our answer here will be B, because the bicep relax, the tricep will what? Contract. All right. Right. So let's jump to the next question now. I think I'll skip a question here. All right. I think I'll skip one. Yeah. 38. For 38, it's which organ breaks down alcohol in the body, and the liver is what breaks down alcohol into our body. All right. As a matter of fact, the liver plays so much important functions, and I'm saying, please know the functions of liver, know all the functions of liver, know what is taking place in the liver. Please make sure you know that, all right? Because the liver is very important, and even if you have some knowledge about it, at least if you see any question, you know exactly how to treat the question. 39. But question 39 is which of the following is not related to taking heroin? All right, so is this a drug? And just to make a note right here, it said the drug is a stimulant. No, it's not a stimulant. And it said which is not. So it's not a stimulant. Matter of fact, so A is the answer. Okay, so it's not. So A is not a stimulant. It is definitely not a stimulant. I'm going to tell you what are stimulants. Stimulants are like caffeine, okay, cocaine, and ecstasy. So let me just write them down for you. So caffeine, and caffeine is EINE, yeah. And cocaine is also a stimulant. And you have this one here, ecstasy is also a stimulant. All right, so those are three stimulants that you have right there. All right, and stimulant will kind of heighten your responses and, make you become more alert, your pupil dilating and all those type of stuff. The drug is addictive, yes. Heroin is addictive. If you abstain from it, then you can have a withdrawal syndrome, definitely. And it is a depressant. Definitely, it is a depressant. So other depressant that you may want to know as well, and depressant will slow down your body movement, right? So heroin will make you have a more calmer, slower response, things like that. So it actually calm you down, says a depressant. And so alcohol is also a depressant as well. Cannabis, which is marijuana. So let's say cannabis, marijuana, and heroin. So even though they're depressant, I'm not saying if you're depressed, you need to drink alcohol and take cannabis. No, stay away from drugs. Stay away from drugs. Stay in school though. Stay in school. Yeah, but stay away from drugs. Drugs not good because it can cause you to mess up your whole life. So please stay away from drugs. Stay away from drugs. All right, number 40. So which is a characteristic of hormones? And hormones, they are biological catalysts. No, that's enzymes. Enzymes are biological catalysts. They are chemical in nature. Yes, they are chemical messengers. All right, impulses are electrical messengers, but hormones, they are chemical messengers. D, it said that they do not have direct effect on organs. Not true. They once they reach to the target site, they will have the effect on it. 41, and we have 9 more questions after this, and we'll finish. It said diagram shows the shoot of a seedling growing towards the stimulus light. So growing towards light. It said, why does the shoot grow towards light? Why it is growing towards light? Let's look at the options. All right. So it said A is an auxin decrease the growth cell in the darkness. That is not true at all. That is definitely not true. B is saying that auxin decrease the growth rate of cells in the light. That is not true. What light does though is inhibit auxin. Is not auxin decreasing the growth, because once auxin is present there, then you'll have growth. So C is saying that auxin increase the growth of cells in the darkness. Yes, because what's going to happen is that auxin move to the darker side because light inhibits the function of auxin. So auxin will be on the darker side, and then they will cause more growth on the darker side. All right, so what you're going to have here is less growth, not decreased growth. You're going to have less growth. Growth will take place, but you'll have less growth taking place. So this statement is not correct in terms of how they stated. All right, so D is auxin increase the growth in the cells in the light. No. All right, so C, yeah, C is definitely the answer. All right, so the darker side will grow faster, not no decrease in no growth. So there's no decrease in growth. What happened is that is not growing as fast. So the darker side grow faster because auxin is more concentrated on the darker side, and again, light inhibits the function of auxin. Yeah, so C is definitely the answer there. 42, and we are very close to the end. Now, so the diagram shows the female reproductive system. Which parts, some matter of fact, are represented by the letter R and S. So R, everybody know that by now, is a fallopian tube, and S is the vagina. So R is fallopian tube, S is vagina. So yeah, so A is the answer. So look carefully. Let's point out something right now. The part I'm highlighting right now, that's the cervix, right? And then above the cervix, we have the uterus. So the lower part there is the vagina. And the vagina is not what you can see now. The vagina is the internal part that receives the penis and also receives sperm cells. All right, what is on the outside is the labia. All right? All right, the 43. 43 is that the following events take place during the process of delivery. The events are not shown in the correct order. All right, so delivery. So in delivery now, what's going to happen now? So which shows the correct order. And so let's look at it now. The first thing happen is that the water break, yes? The water break first. And after the water break, then you're going to have the cervix dilate. Okay, that's how the doctor check this. Okay, it's reached a certain centimeters now. The child ready to come out. And then after the child, after the cervix dilate enough so the child could pass through, then the doctor will now cut the umbilical cord and then remove the afterbirth. The afterbirth will be expelled after that. So looking for P must be our start. Okay, so we are between A and B. The second thing is R, with the cervix dilates. Okay, so B is the correct one. Yeah, B is definitely correct. All right, so let's move on to the next question now. There's no debate about that one. 44. It's a diagram shows the male reproductive system, which structure stores mature sperms. And just to make a note that D is a testis, and the testis contain the semiferous tubules, and sperms are made in the semiferous tubules. You can make a note of that. Semiferous tubules is what makes sperms. So let me write that down for you. All right, the semiferous tubules, semiferous tubules, they make the sperm cells. All right, and they are in the testes. But if one of this is testis, so that you need to know as well. If it's a label, one is a testis, two testes, and then C is the epididymis now that stores the sperm cell, right? All right, so the epididymis. All right, so epididymis is what stores the sperm cells. All right, sperm cells are made in testes. All right, and the question asks what stores it. So yes, we're gonna choose C as our answer. All right, just to make a note here as well, just to kind of give you a quick labeling right here. This here, which is B. B is our seminal vesicle, so it's a seminal vesicle. All right, that's what B is. Let me show you next. Let me highlight two other structures right here. So this one, I'm gonna label that one. This one, I'm gonna label this one as well. All right, so I'm gonna label those two structures. All right, this smaller one down here is kind of not showing so clear, but a smaller one, we just call it Cowper's gland. All right, so this is called a Cowper's gland. So Cowper's gland. And the Cowper's gland is also called the bulbourethral gland. Let's call it, pronounce it bulbourethral. Okay, so bulbourethral gland. All right, so all right, let me take off. All right, gland, just gland. All right, I don't want to. You're gonna look funny, but gland. It's called the bulbourethral gland. All right, okay. You know what? Let me put it down and carry it all the way over. Yeah, so gland is there. The bulbourethral gland. All right, good. All right, the bulbourethral gland is the other name for the Cowper's gland. Bulbourethral gland. All right, and we have here is a prostate gland. So that's one. This one is our prostate gland. And prostate, bulbourethral gland, and seminal vesicle, they're what they call accessory glands, and they help they provide seminal fluid, a matter of fact, to nourish the sperm cells and also create a medium for them for the sperm cells to swim. And A is the urinary bladder. Okay, so this is the urinary bladder. All right, urinary bladder right there. Yeah, all right, cool. 45. It's a diagram shows a flower of a pea plant, right? And so a question asks, which letter points to the structure which contains gamete. And gametes are found in two places. We have gametes in the ovary in the form of ovules, okay, and also at the anther in the form of pollen. So there are two places where we find gametes. S, which is the ovules in the ovary, and R, which is the anther that produces pollen. Q is the stigma, and stigma will receive pollen grains. P is the petal, and that does attract insects if it is an insect pollinated flower, right? So is S and R is the answer. So here is R and S, right? Don't matter the other, yeah. So both of them that are responsible. B is the correct answer there. Next question. It said here now, which row shows the sex chromosome in man? So we look for the chromosome in man and the sex chromosomes in sperm cell. That will result in a male offspring. Now, first thing you need to know that female is X and X, yes? Female is X and X. So looking for man must be X and Y. All right? So either between C and D. And it said which of them will result into a male. And once about Y chromosome, you are male. So that means D is the answer. All right? So if you have two X's, female. So what contributes to become a male for sure is the Y. The Y chromosome determines if you are a male. All right? Yeah, so that is the male part of you, the Y chromosome. Y. All right, 47. It said which feature is controlled only by a gene and not influenced by the environment. So here now, blood group, glucose in the blood, heart disease, lung cancer. All right, so straight off the bat here, A, because your blood group controlled by your genes and definitely is not changed by the environment. So no matter where you go in the world, if you ever go to space, your blood group is the same thing, right? Your glucose in the blood not determines if you eat food. If you're not eating any food, then you're going to have less glucose in the blood. All right? Or if you just eat a lot of food and not doing anything, then you're going to have a lot of glucose in the blood. So it depends on the environment, exercise and all that type of thing. Heart disease can be affected by environment as well. Lung cancer, definitely, yeah. All right, so 48. It said diagram represents chromosome in a cell of a fruit fly. How many chromosomes would be there after meiosis? So meiosis produces half the number of chromosomes. That's the first thing you need to know. How many chromosomes are here? We have 8 chromosomes, or 4 pairs. So this is a pair, another pair, another pair, another pair. So we have 4 pairs of chromosomes, a total of 8 chromosomes. So a gamete, which is after meiosis, will have half the number. So we're going to have 4 chromosomes in a cell after meiosis, half the number. All right? So 8 chromosomes, half the number is 4. All right, so 49. This is a long question. It's in watermelons, the gene which determines the color of the pulp has 2 alleles. The allele for red is the allele for red pulp is dominant. So let me just put R right there. All right, just say that's red pulp, R. The dominant R. All right. And then to the allele for yellow pulp. So yellow is recessive. So put small r. Don't put no Y. You must use the same letters for alleles, right? The uppercase one is for dominant, the lowercase is for recessive. So you must use the same letters, the same type of letters for the same type of characteristic. Uppercase one is dominant, the lowercase one is recessive. Okay? So don't use R for red and then use Y for yellow. No, it's pulp. You're looking at the pulp color is the characteristic. So it's the same letter. All right, just remember that. The dominant one is uppercase, the lowercase is recessive. Is that as a result of crosses between heterozygous plants, which means two heterozygous plants, right? It's a 339 of the new plants produce watermelons with red pulp. It's a how many new plants would expect to produce watermelons with yellow pulp. Now, there's a little thing you need to know right here. If both parents are heterozygous, I know it's a heterozygous plant, which means both parents are heterozygous. And if both parents are heterozygous, what you must know is that the resulting offspring must be a 3-to-1 ratio in phenotype. And that's something you need to know. Both parents are heterozygous. Let me just quickly show you by drawing the Punnett square. All right? So by drawing the Punnett square, all right, we're going to realize now. All right, let me just quickly get this off. All right, yeah. So again, the Punnett square does one box separated into 4 parts, right? We say both parents are heterozygous. That means both of them are, and I use R and R. So this is going to be heterozygous, mean 2 different alleles like that. So one parent is that. Cross, the X mean cross, with another heterozygous, uppercase and lowercase. So all you need to do is to do this. Uppercase, lowercase. Uppercase, lowercase. All right? And so here you have 2 uppercases. And so that is R. And then here you have another uppercase. You have an uppercase and a lowercase here. Here you have an upper and a lower. All right? Upper, lower. And here you have 2 lower. So just to make note that all these with the uppercase R, they're going to be red. And the one with the lowercase r is going to be yellow. And so it's a 3-to-1 ratio. 3-to-1 ratio in phenotype. That means 3 red, 1 yellow. All right? Which means that 75% is red, 25% possibility of being yellow. So if 339, right? If 339 is red, which means that 75%, all I need to do now, since that's 3-to-1 ratio, what I need to do is to divide 339 by 3, okay, to find out what one part is equal to. And so 339 divided by 3 give you 133. And listen, let me tell you, without the calculator, you could get the answer. Let me show you could get the answer. So 113 is the answer if you divide that number by 3. But an easy way to get the answer is a 3-to-1 ratio. If you have 339, what is one part of that? Could it be 140? No, 140 is almost like half. Almost half. It's not fully half, but yeah, 150 is going to be like half of 300. So it's a little bit close to going to the half. So you know that can be, A and B will be out of the question. We don't know doubt because it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. B is way more than half, so it really don't make no sense. So C is kind of close, but yeah, it's a little bit close to half. So you're not going to even look at that. So this is the lowest number. That is almost 1/3 of this number. So you know for sure, right, that D is the answer, just without calculator. All right, last question. Last question. I know you can't wait to finish this, and I want you to do well on the exam. To do well. Please do well. Get some A's and some B's, man. 50. It's a diagram shows the human chromosomes. And it said which number is indicated by abnormality. So this is, let us go through this. So notice we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. The number represents the pairs. So pair 1, pair 2, and notice they are in pairs. And chromosomes are in pairs because of size, okay? Because of size and shape. All right, so importantly now, let me show you something now. We have X and we have Y. The 23rd pair is a sex pair, which means the gender pair, right? So this is X and we have 2 X's. That means this is a female. This is a female. There's no chromosome on the Y, so this is not a male, right? So 2X is female. It's a female genome right here. All right, now abnormality is number 21. Why number 21 is abnormal? Because you have 3 of the same chromosomes. Remember now that chromosomes occur in what? Pairs. So everything is pairing up except 21. You have 3. That means you have extra chromosome. So this is a female, and this could be a Down syndrome female with an extra chromosome. Again, female, 2 X's. Extra pair of extra chromosome, possible Down syndrome. So this could be a Down syndrome female. All right, anyway, let's look at the answer, 21, and we finish. All right, so listen, good luck on the exam. do well. Okay? Please do well. Practice hard. Study hard. Get in a study group. Call each other. Come off the social media a little bit. Do some practice. At least you're here with science with Mr. Knight. That means you're doing the right thing. Bless up. Keep safe. Good luck.